Hello, we are going to analyze the foreign policy concept of the Russian Federation, a document that was released 2 weeks ago, 30 November 2016, and this document basically is the concept that sets forth a system of views on basic principles, priority areas, goals and objectives of the foreign policy of the Russian Federation. So what I will just do is just look at this document and highlight the main areas or the main paragraphs that I thought to be the most important. So to begin with, we have on paragraph 3, under general provisions, item C, consolidate the Russian Federation's position as a center of influence in today's world. I think this is obvious that Russian political power want to bring Russia again as a big international player in international relations, in a military level. All of the global issues, they want to bring Russia back to the center of those decisions and to put Russia back on track, so to speak. On the item F of the same paragraph, we have the following. Pursue neighborly relations with adjacent states, assist them in eliminating existing hotbeds of tension and conflicts on their territory, and prevent the emergence of new ones. Basically, Russia wants to have good relations with the states that were once part of the Soviet Union, and they want to be a security provider into those states, but this of course will come at a cost eventually for those states which also fear the times that the Soviet Russia existed and where Soviets had a major impact on their internal policies. And we are speaking of all of the Eastern Europe, mainly Ukraine, Moldova, even Eastern European countries that today belong to the European Union and NATO, such as the Baltics, and even on the Caucasus region, namely Georgia and so on. So this is a new neighborly policy for Russia. Following, we have item E on the same number. Strengthen Russia's role in international culture, promote and consolidate the position of the Russian language in the world, raise global awareness of Russia's cultural achievements and national historical legacy, the cultural identity of the peoples of Russia, and Russian education and research, consolidate the Russian-speaking diaspora. So this is on the following of the previous point that I made, which is basically to protect Russian citizens or Russian-speaking citizens around the world, and Russia will do everything they can to protect those citizens and to project their influence and their power, because if you protect the community, say the Russian community in the United States, that's a foreign policy sort of objective that the country has, because that spreads your influence, that spreads people speaking about your country and so on. So that's very important. On item J, you have the following. Bolster the standing of Russian mass media and communication tools in the global information space and convey Russia's perspective on the international process to the wider international community. Basically, this is, I think, Russian-backed media, such as Russia TV or Russia True or any media publication that operates online and that conveys the Russian views to the world, that usually are basically anti-Western views and very criticizing about the international multilateral organizations that are typically Western, such as the European Union, NATO, and so on. Still under general provisions on the paragraph 4, we have global and development potential is becoming decentralized and is shifting towards Asia-Pacific region, eroding the global economic and political dominance of the traditional Western powers. So we clearly have here Russian leaders saying that they want a multipolar world, a world that is not dominated by the West, and that they acknowledge that the future center of world politics and globalism will be in Asia-Pacific region, where Russia also plays a major role. On point 6, we have the following. Force is becoming an increasingly important factor in the international relations amid escalating political, social, and economic contradictions and growing uncertainty in the global political system and economy. This basically means that Russia underlines the value of hard power, hard military power, caused by growing instability around the world. So they have no problem saying that they give importance to hard power. On point 9, we have, in addition to traditional methods of diplomacy, soft power has become an integral part of the efforts to achieve foreign policy objectives. This primarily includes the tools offered by civil societies as well as various methods and technologies, from information and communication to humanitarian and other types. This follows up what I've said before about spreading Russian influence through culture, through history, through language, and even through using state-backed media to convey Russia's message to the world, which is usually not true, sometimes an anti-Western view of the world that they want to convey. This is the soft power that they want to spread around the world, which is the Russian message and an anti-Western message. Next, we have the priorities of the Russian Federation in overcoming global challenges. In the part within the shaping a fair and sustainable world order, in point 25 or paragraph 25, you have the following. Russia attaches great importance to ensuring the sustainable manageability of global development, which requires collective leadership by the major states that should be representative in geographic and civilizational terms and fully respect the central and coordinating role of the United Nations. To these ends, Russia expands its ties with partnerships of the Group of 20, the BRICS, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the Republic of South Africa, the SCO, which is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the RIC, which stands for Russia, India, and China, alongside other organizations and dialogue platforms, which I would add the ASEAN, which is the organization that puts together the Southeast Asia countries, which is also very important in terms of Russian foreign policy. So, as you can see, all of these countries that I mentioned are not Western countries, so Russia wants to be sort of the leader of the non-Western world, so they give a lot of importance regarding this situation. Following up on the international humanitarian cooperation and human rights, on point 45, item E, you have the following. Protect the rights and legitimate interests of compatriots residing abroad, subject to the international law and international treaties concluded by the Russian Federation, while also recognizing the significant contribution by compatriots to preserving and promoting the Russian language and culture. This part just reinforced what I said before about the soft power and the power of culture and the power of language that Russian political power wants to protect. So this reinforced that point. Following on the point 46 or paragraph 46, we have under information support and foreign policy activities of the Russian Federation, we have the following. Communicating to the international community unbiased information about Russia's perspective on the key international issues, its foreign policy initiatives and actions, processes and socio-economic developments. Russia's cultural and research achievements is an important area of foreign policy and activity for the Russian Federation. This goes again on the part of the Russian-backed state-backed media, where Russia wants to convey Russian views to the world and wants to protect Russian interests on the masses, on the viewers, on the international scene, and they want to convey Russia's specific message, which, once again, an anti-Western word, so to speak, and they want to criticize a lot the Western countries and the Western-dominated world. On paragraph 47, we have Russia seeks to ensure that the world has an objective image of the country, and to this effect develops its own efficient ways to influence foreign audiences, providing them with the necessary government support. So once again, Russia provides state support to Russian state media in order to convey Russian or pro-Russian messages, which are usually anti-Western. Regarding the regional foreign policy priorities for the Russian Federation, on paragraph 49, they give a lot of importance to the Commonwealth of Independent States, as well as the Eurasian Economic Union, which enunciates the priority for the Russian Federations to have good relations with states that gained independence after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Further on, we have on paragraph 56 the Russian relations with Ukraine and the problems in eastern Ukraine, also Crimea. On 57, we have problems in Georgia and what happened in 2008 with the Abkhazia region and South Ossetia. And then we have on paragraph 61 the NATO and European Union issues, and I will read paragraph 61 right now. Systemic issues in the Euro-Atlantic region have accumulated over the last quarter century and are manifested in geopolitical expansion pursued by the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and the European Union, EU, while they refuse to begin the implementation of political statements regarding the creation of a common European security and cooperation framework, which has resulted in a serious crisis in the relations between Russia and the Western states. Further on, the containment policy adopted by the United States and its allies towards Russia and political, economic, information and other pressure Russia is facing from them undermine the regional and global stability. So once again, Russia wants to state clearly that the progressive expansion of the European Union and the NATO has undermined the security of Russian Federation. Further on paragraph 70, we have the following. The Russian Federation maintains its negative perspective towards NATO's expansion, the alliance military infrastructure approaching Russian borders and its military activity in regions neighboring Russia, viewing them as a violation of the principle of equal and indivisible security and leading to the emergence of new dividing lines in Europe. Regarding US-Russia relations, we have on paragraph 72, Russia does not recognize the US policy of extraterritorial jurisdiction beyond the boundaries of international law and finds unacceptable attempts to exercise military, political, economic, or any other pressure while reserving the right to react very strongly to unfriendly actions. So once again, Russia is stating that it does not recognize a Western-led world by the United States and that it will take the necessary retaliatory actions regarding the behavior of the Western powers, which Russia perceives as a national security threat. So to sum up, in this document we can see clearly an affirmative political intention of bringing the Russian Federation back to the center of the world in terms of foreign policy, in terms of economy, in terms of military might, in terms of projecting Russian interests around the world. And we can see, or we can sort of predict what the future will be, and good relations with Russia will be extremely hard under this context. This is everything I have to say about this document. As I said in the beginning, I've underlined the most important parts that I thought to be relevant, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.